Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 110. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zaberwolf. We're going to be talking about Ahsoka episode 4, and we're going to be going back and finishing off the Netflix series, the live action version of One Piece. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, drop a like on your way out. If you're listening to us on any of the podcast apps like Apple or Spotify or anything like that, leave a rating, hit the follow button, and turn on them noti bells. All right, guys, let's get going. Alex, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on,
How are
man?
you? I'm good, bro.
Not
How
too
are
bad.
you?
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How was your week?
It's been pretty well. Just been very busy. It's one of those work weeks that was pretty damn stressful, but I mean it worked out pretty well. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job with work.
Fuck
Now
yeah,
that I've
dude.
started.
Settling into the new role, nice.
Yeah, it's coming in great.
That's great, dude. That's great. Yes, I had a couple of days off this week, so this week was real weird for me because like I worked on Monday. I was had Tuesday and Wednesday off work because I was meant to be going to a Blink-182 gig, but they canceled the gig. I don't know if I said this to you last week or not, but
I
basically
believe you
I was
did.
yeah, I'm still heartbroken. We were meant to go to this thing on Tuesday, and I booked off Tuesday so that I could go into like the city early, get some food and drinks, and go down to the show, not have to worry about rushing in after work or anything. And then I had a feeling that I was going to be hungover, so I said to myself, I'm going to take the next day off as well, just to be 100% safe, you know.
Nice.
And yeah, it just did not work. It did not work.
Yeah. As you can see in the background, like I have the pullout set here because I was like, I'm gonna sit in my room and I'm just gonna pass out in the room because I didn't want to be a bother. I didn't want to like snore loudly in the other room because it's football season. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, I'm a fan, but like Katie's a big fan. Like she's like, 10 o'clock when Red Zone channel starts, we're gonna get things rolling. Like, don't bother me. Like, all right.
That's so funny. It's usually the other way around. I like
Her and
that your
her family
household is like,
love football though, dude.
that's hilarious. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Shout out to anybody who's here in the chat before we went live. Andre, what's up, dude? How are you? Derpy here is new to the channel, I think. I'm here for the guitar and boxes content. Interesting. Yeah, I've got a couple of guitars around. I'm a big Blink-182 fan. They're like custom Tom DeLonge guitars and or signature Tom DeLonges and so on, and
Nice.
a couple of lightsabers and Grogu's and stuff behind us. And yeah, we're a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff. Yeah, sorry. So I was meant to be going to that gig this week, and they cancelled because the drummer had to go home because there was a problem with his unborn baby and stuff, which is fine. But I was just like, oh, it was heartbreaking, bro. So my week was just all over the place because I'd worked on Monday, 2 days off, so it was like a weekend. Then Thursday, Friday in work, and then another weekend here. So, yeah, it's been rough. Marvel, what's up? How are you? Andre, what's up, dude? Guys, we're going to be
Morning,
talking
everyone.
about. Yeah, there's a lot of people in here. It's great to see. We're going to be talking about Ahsoka episode 4 today. Massive episode. I haven't even spoken to you offline at all, Alex. I don't know how you felt about it. We haven't spoke about it at all, so I don't even know. So I'm very excited to see what you think, and everybody in the chat as well. Anybody who's listening to us on a replay or anything like that. I hope it's all enjoyed it because for me it was incredible. And then I finished One Piece as well this
I
week.
didn't.
So you haven't finished it yet?
No,
Oh
no,
my
no,
God.
because Katie and I like are like, she's like, you can watch it all on your own if you'd like, and I said, oh man, I'd love to, but like, I think we're both kind of enjoying it,
Yeah.
so like, I don't want to just outright go and be like, yep,
Yeah,
I finished it.
fair.
I like thoroughly, yeah, we'll talk more about it in just a minute, but like, yeah, other than that, like, we started playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, you're doing like a co-op campaign or something, is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I finished it. I had to watch it on my own because like I watched the first episode with my girlfriend. She hated it, so I was like, okay, I'm off on my own. See you later. So I ended up watching the finale actually in work on Friday. So is what it is. But I enjoyed it. It's great. We'll dip into it after we kind of do all the Star Wars talk and stuff like that. But,
Right.
Yeah, let's dive straight in. Talk to me. This week's episode, or well, sorry, technically now it's almost last week's episode, but what did you think of episode 4 of Ahsoka? Tell me.
Ahsoka? It was fun, dude. It was expected though. Like, it was one of those things where like we had talked about it last week, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Sabine's gonna join the dark side or do something that's gonna be like more dark side oriented, and apparently it did happen because you can't, like, it's literally Star Wars in my head is don't tell me what to do. That's all the movies are. That's all the shows are. Don't tell me what to do. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just think it's funny that they do a lot of that over and over. Like there's never of like, yes, I'll just follow your orders and we'll do it the way by the books.
Yeah,
And like cuz that like that's something I'd like to see though. I'd like to see what happens when things just go the way that they should and then see if like it actually works out the same way. What if it was that Sabine did exactly what she was told and then we just like see that they still failed. You know what I mean? Like it's
hmm,
one of those things. It's like you can still fail even if you do the right thing.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like it's one of those things where Sabine is technically doing the wrong thing, but I know she's doing it for the right reasons.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's cool. I've seen it a lot before, but it's still cool. Like it's still enjoyable.
Bro, I gotta give a quick shout out to last week's episode. So I think I had asked, I can't remember where in the episode, but I asked the question, like, what do you think's gonna happen next week? And you were kind of playing around, but you were saying like, oh, Ahsoka's gonna die, and then she's gonna be like, you're gonna kill me, and I'm gonna turn into some, you were kind of quoting episode 4 of the movie, and then I was like, holy shit, like, did she kind of die? It's kind of obviously it's up in the air, it's kind of a question mark, but I was laughing when I was watching this week's episode because I was like, oh my god, he was right. Yeah,
but
it's so funny.
but even then, like you had the rumors about the Inquisitor looking guy. I forgot his name. Merrick.
Morak, yeah,
Morak. Is it Morak? It
yeah,
was
or
Merrick.
Marek, sorry,
Um. So
Marek, yeah,
like
Mar.
I, like you said, it was like going to be a smoke thing, and
Pretty much was. Yeah, that was
pretty
right.
much happened. Yeah. But what
Yeah,
I'm also wondering is like, do you think they're going to try to integrate that into the story and say that like Anakin's Force Ghost was like kept inside Merrick or something like that, and then that's why he's visible, like or able to talk to the
yeah.
Ahsoka now?
I think because the kind of smoke or dust or whatever you want to call it was green. I think it's like insinuating that it's like Night Sister magic. So I think it
Hmm.
was just
Okay.
a manifestation from the dark magic of the Night Sisters or whatever. Like I don't think it was actually a person. I think it
Gotcha.
would be more interesting if it was like so if it was like the spirit of a dead Sith or something like that.
Right.
That to me would be more interesting just than a witch doing magic and being able to conjure up a random inquisitor that has force sensitivity and is an excellent swordsman. It's a bit weird, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would kind of prefer if it was someone that we potentially had come into before.
Hmm.
So if it was like a dead inquisitor who died maybe during like I don't know, maybe one of the ones that Cal Kestis killed or something like that, I'd try and link it back into the games or something
Hmm.
could do something cool. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I do you know the funny thing, right? So obviously we spoke about that last week. So it was up in the air. It was in the rumor mill, and I was very kind of all over the place when I first heard it. I was like, oh no, this is going to be really terrible. But when I was
Hmm.
watching the episode, I don't know why, but it just worked when I was watching the episode. It just like I didn't mind how stupid it was because, and I think it was just because there was so much cool shit happening around that scene that it kind of just faded into the background.
Hmm.
It went up in smoke, you might say. But like seriously though, like you've got all the cool shit happening with Sabine fighting Shin in the forest, and like that whole kind of build up to the death scene for Marek was really cool. It was real like kind of samurai and
Right.
stuff. Ahsoka only took out one blade. She's like, "Fuck you, I don't even need two for you." Like it was epic. Like it was the tensions were building so much during that forest scene, and
Right.
even leading up to the forest scene, like I just loved every minute of this episode. Like I really did. Like I thought it was visually stunning. I loved everything. Like even what's his name? The robot is it Hu Yang or whatever his name is.
Yeah. Hu
Um,
Yang.
voiced by David Tennant, which is cool as well. But basically I just even loved like the kind of chemistry he knows the two of them so well that he knows if he like kind of damages the ship, they're gonna come running out. And yeah, it was just great. Absolutely loved the bit where Sabine goes to use the force against Shin and she's like, you have no power. I was like, oh thank God. I was like, if she force pushes her back, I'm just gonna be like, no, like there's no way. Like it was so annoying. But then she like flipped down the wrist and shot the rockets off. I was like, she's a Mandalorian. It was just so good. It was fucking epic, bro. It was so good. I loved it. Oh man, it was amazing. I can't get over it. And then like obviously Ahsoka fighting Balin as well at the end was just so good. Like the dialogue between them was great. It was like real kind of it was building tension. It was like we got to hear him talk about Anakin. That was bringing up emotions in me and everything. I was just like, oh, this is fucking amazing. I love it. Like, and then
Mhm.
when we get to the end of the episode, she falls off the edge, and I think it's due to her seeing, first of all, that she thinks that Sabine is dead, so that kind of throws her off balance. And then when she sees that she's alive, and then she's not destroying the thing, it's like she's all over the place. Like her emotions are kind of taking over. She's out of focus, and then she just falls off the edge. But then it's like, I suppose the rest of the episode is kind of, for now, we don't really know what's happening. It's kind of, it's to be taken as in you can interpret it whichever way you want. It's like, was she pulled in to the world beyond worlds? Was she actually pulled in by Anakin? Or was,
Mhm.
like, did she die and she went there? Like, did she hit the ground and then she went there? Like, we don't really know. I suppose we're kind of just theorizing at the moment.
Right.
Um, I've seen a lot of kind of, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God. Like, when I first heard his voice, I was like, holy shit. Like, again, the World Beyond Worlds looked incredible in live action. Like, I think it looked really basic and terrible in Rebels. It's just like white lines on a black backdrop. Like, it just looked so basic and stuff. But I think they made it like work so well in live action. It looked beautiful. Like, because you weren't sure if she was on the shore or if she was actually, because it looked like she was kind of on the ground and it was like the water washing up on her, and then
Mhm.
you find out that she's there. And yeah, just when she turned around and she saw Anakin, like, the CGI looked great. You know what I mean? He sounded amazing. Like, calling him Snips, calling her Snips and everything. It was just, it was great, man. And like, the second I finished watching the episode, I had to go and watch like Thierry and Josh's live reactions to it and everything. And like, Thierry was getting all upset and all. I was just like, fuck's sake. I was like, because that's how I feel like. And my girlfriend was laughing at me. She's like, I haven't seen you cry in like 7 years and you were getting upset over this. Like, and I was like, well, no, like I said, I'm just like, I understand where this dude's coming from. Like, I was like, I feel the same. Like, Anakin's my favorite character. So, I was like, I get why he's so emotional about it. Like, so like, I
Right.
wasn't like, there weren't tears or anything, I swear. But
Are you sure?
no, there wasn't. But
Something in your eyes.
she had a good laugh about it. Yeah, someone was cutting onions. um, yeah. So like, Maniac is saying here, the actress who plays Shin is amazing. I agree, and she does probably deserve it. Um, I think she's kind of a. I'm trying to put my finger on it. She kind of is a mixture of a couple of actresses already. She kind of looks like Elizabeth Olsen, kind of mixed with somebody else, and she kind of looks familiar to me. You know?
I'll have to look her up again. I can't remember her face that well.
Yeah. Welcome into the stream.
Hey, how's it going? Do we like
What was
Ahsoka?
Yeah, I'm loving it. So, well, I'm definitely loving this week. I thought I've liked all the episodes, but I think the first couple were a little bit slow on certain points, and I can kind of understand why they were slow on certain points, because I think they were kind of trying to build some characters and build a story for people who hadn't watched the anime. Because I think there are going to be people like my girlfriend, for example, who's never watched any of the anime. She hasn't watched Clone Wars. She hasn't watched Rebels. She doesn't know who any of these people are. So it
Mhm.
made sense for them to kind of build it that way. Um, but yeah, like, it's I think it's great. I think it's great. I think Rosario Dawson is doing an amazing job as Ahsoka. I like everyone. Ray Stevenson as well. I'm just so, again, every week I watch more of it, and I get more and more sad that he's not here anymore, to see just the incredible reception that this show has gotten. You know?
Yeah, I agree, man. Like it's actually like living up a little bit better than I thought. I was worried that it was gonna kind of get a little tropey or like too cliched on its own good. And then
Yeah.
we would end up like with something similar to season 3 of Mandalorian, where they're kind of trying to rush things, but it doesn't feel like they're rushing it this time. It actually feels like they're trying to give it a little bit of breathing room here and there. I think the actress who plays Sabine, she's gotten a little bit better than she did in the previous episodes.
Yeah.
Uh, Considering that like they probably had time to get to know each other as actors. Like I'm pretty sure that when you haven't really worked with another actor in quite a while, like or different actors, you don't know how to gauge them in terms of like um the way you're supposed to act with them like on scene. So like you could tell when they're getting comfortable with each other. Like you see that
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Ahsoka and Sabine. It's like really coming together. You feel the emotion come in. Maybe there was like a little bit of coaching done with Rosario Dawson because she's a very seasoned actress and she does
Mhm.
amazing work like a lot of the time. So um, it and then the actress who plays Shin is just like, she's fun. She's really fun. I love the way that she's able to keep her demeanor like very like stoic, very menacing in the sense, like not silly, just very serious about her work. Balin is a little more like lighthearted. You could tell that he was originally like a Jedi who changed over as not necessarily a Sith, but like as someone who's like almost sounds like he's been hurt in the past, and that's why he's doing what he's doing right now. Um,
Yeah.
and so like you really get the feel of it for both characters. So like Shin, I feel is going to be that character who is basically going to tell Balin, what the hell are you doing? Stop them right now, kind of situation. Like there's going to be a moment where Balin's probably going to turn over a new leaf, or maybe think about like the future
Yeah.
between like Sabine and Ahsoka and like the rest of the galaxy. Because that's how I'm kind of feeling right now. Balin is very like, he's like, yeah, like I want to influence Sabine, but at the same time, like he just has this weird feeling of like, I just something that says like there's gonna be some kind of change with him.
Yeah.
Whereas Shin is like just straight up like, I will fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And I
I
like
like
that. I really
I
like
like it.
that feeling.
I do too. Do you think like by the end of the show, do you think they're going to be redeemed back to the light side, or do they go full Sith? Because like I
Uh,
could have sworn watching the latest episode. Now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm only seeing things or something. But during the fight with Balin and Ahsoka, I felt like his lightsaber was turning more red than orange. I don't know
oh
if that was
really?
just yeah. I don't know. Maybe rewatch it and see. But I've watched it a few times. I've watched the last scene a few times now because I love that the Anakin reveal. It's incredible. And I feel like his lightsaber is a bit darker than it is at the start of the show, and I feel
Okay.
like he's kind of getting set in the kind of Sith ways.
So basically the opposite of what I'm thinking in terms of like him trying to or like trying to understand the feelings of others and
Well,
just
I don't
being
know, like
more in,
he does show like kind of remorse, like he doesn't want to kill Ahsoka. He's like, it'll be a shame if she dies. There's
right.
so few Jedi left. He says like, but at the same time, like he's gonna do it, like if he has to, And I
Mhm.
just kind of feel the more evil that he's doing, like it's kind of cementing him as a Sith more than a Jedi.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I can agree with you on that. It's one of those things where I don't know. Like it's kind of exciting to think about like how far it's gonna push on
Hmm.
these two characters. I feel like Shin is a very like I said a moment ago, like Shin is a very straightforward character, but she does a really good job.
Yeah.
I think it's very apparent that she's got like a great range of what she can do, even though she's a very one-sided kind of character right now. You can tell that she's got like reactions spot on. She's
Yeah.
got like the determination spot on. Like it feels very much like a person that has like basically has red eyes and can only see red.
Hmm.
So,
Andre says in the chat here, I'm very curious about who they might recast as Balin. I was kind of in my head, and I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I'm kind of thinking maybe he dies before the end of the show,
mhm.
and then they won't have to recast, and it'll be kind of a one and done, which I think would be perfect. I know he seems like a great character. I would love to see him around, but just at the fact that Ray has passed, I think it would be nice if the character kind of went with him. You know,
Yeah, of
like there's so
course.
many characters in Star Wars you could pick from. Like it's not as if we're kind of short for evil or dark Jedi's or whatever, or fallen Jedi's or whatever you want to call them. I'm sure they can kind of think of a new character. I think if they are going to keep him, I don't know who. I haven't even thought about who might recast as him. I'm sure there's plenty of actors that kind of look like him. So
Possibly.
like I'm sure it wouldn't be very difficult to do that.
Right.
Angelina asked in the chat about some One Piece as well. Like we'll definitely touch into the One Piece stuff. Alex watches the anime, I don't, so he'll be able to answer this question probably a bit better than I
Oh,
could.
Diamante.
Um,
Oh yeah, Diamante totally looks like Steven Tyler. But yeah, we'll get more into that.
yeah, we're going to One Piece at the after the Star Wars piece anyway. Like usually second half of the cast, we usually go into a bit of anime and stuff. So, um, the whole Anakin thing, I know there's a big. I don't know if you've seen any of this on socials or anything, but there's a big debate into the fact like, is it actually Anakin? Is it somebody else? Is it potential? Because at the very end of the episode, you hear Vader's team coming in, so it's like, is it actually evil Anakin? Is it Vader potentially? Is it? there's a lot of theories going out there that it's the sun. The sun is actually so basically, I don't know if you watched Rebels or not, or Clone Wars, but
Mhm.
there's a part in Clone Wars where Anakin goes into like the Force, and there's these like celestial beings. One of them is like it's like the father is like the balance, the son is the dark side, and the daughter is the light side. And
Mhm.
basically, the daughter ends up like sacrificing herself to save Ahsoka's life at one point. So like the light side energy goes into Ahsoka to kind of revive her, and basically, yeah, like some people are theorizing now that potentially Ahsoka's a god, like because she like has she is the like the embodiment of the light side, and
Hmm.
that's how she can potentially kind of just pass into the world between worlds and then just pop back out wherever she wants. I don't know if that's kind of where the story's going, or if it's more so that maybe this is Anakin's ghost and he's kind of just chilling in the world beyond worlds or whatever. Maybe that's where the Force ghosts go. The ones that have learned to kind of manifest themselves into the Force, maybe they hang out there.
Right.
And he kind of saw this happening and he just kind of pulls her through a portal the same way that Ezra pulled Ahsoka in Rebels through the portal to save her
Mhm.
life. So I don't know. It's very up in the air. Obviously, we need to see more before we can kind of really know exactly what's going on. But I think next week's episode, I don't know if you heard about this or not, but Disney have so much faith in next week's episode that across the world they're showing episode 5 in theaters.
Oh,
I
nice.
checked. Yeah, I checked. Unfortunately, they're not coming anywhere near Ireland, which I'm pissed about because I would love to watch it on the big screen. And I kind of spoke about this. I can't remember where. My theory on it anyway. I think I was speaking about it on my Twitch during the week, but I think what's going to happen is maybe it is Anakin's ghost, or maybe it's not, but we're going to be led to believe it is. And
Mhm.
they're going to be walking through the world beyond worlds, looking through all the doors and seeing flashbacks to the Clone Wars. And that's where we'll get Anakin in his live action suit and stuff. And then flashbacks to Mustafar. And we're going to see, him versus Obi-Wan, or we might see an alternate version of it where it's going to be like Ahsoka versus Anakin. That's kind of a rumor that's been floating around for a while, and it kind
Mhm.
of makes more sense now. I think it could be true, but I like the idea that she's still conflicted. She's still very kind of heavily burdened on the whole fact that she left the Order and she left Anakin, and she thinks that his turn is her fault. And I think what's going to happen is this is going to be her kind of the finishing of her training, her kind of balance in a way. She'll figure
Mhm.
out, she'll look into some alternate timelines or whatever and realize there's nothing that she could have done to actually save Anakin or change anything. And then when she comes back from the world beyond worlds, she's going to be the white version of Ahsoka, like, like Gandalf the White, like sort of thing. Because do you remember
Mhm.
at the end, and I can't remember, I think Josh spoke about this on Nerd Theory or something. I'm not taking credit for this at all, but do you remember at the end of at Rebels? I don't know if you saw it, the very last episode of Rebels, but there's like plenty of screenshots of it all over the place. You can Google it, but they recreated one of the scenes in live action in the show, and when Ahsoka arrived in the anime, she was white. But when she arrived, like she had a white cloak, white staff, like she was like Gandalf the White sort of thing, like. But when
Mhm.
she arrived in the show, she was just in her normal gear. She was in like the gray like cloak and stuff, and she didn't have a staff or anything like that. And a lot of people are thinking that I can't remember who came up with this theory, but I did hear it somewhere. It's not my theory at all, so but I'm not going to take any credit for it at all. But they were saying that maybe what'll happen is, I think it was Josh Dennett, shout out Dennett Nerds. I think it was him who said it. But basically, when she comes out of this, so either Anakin sends her back or she ends up coming back herself, she will go back in time technically and arrive to that point where she meets Sabine. And then the events of the show actually haven't happened yet. So it's kind of going to be like a time loop where you're going to go back, or Groundhog Day where she goes back, but she's going to arrive as like Ahsoka the White this time. And then that's going to be the actual where the anime ended. So the first version of it that we saw was her in the gray. So it's like we're going to see the first time that they try and experience it, and then she's going to come back to that moment in time, but she's going to be the white version of herself. Because I was thinking, and I said this in episode 1, bro. I was like, how the hell have they like fucked up their wardrobe? Like, how did Dave let that pass? Like, how is that a continuity error that in the anime she's in white and in the live action she's in gray? And with this theory, it makes perfect sense.
Interesting. I mean, it seems like a lot though. I like it'd be very interesting to see that kind of stuff. Like time travel's a bitch to work with. Like you really have to be spot on with what you're trying to do. and it's very
Yeah.
hard to do it perfectly. I don't think any movie or any sort of like show has done it really that well. I think the closest thing was maybe Interstellar,
Yeah.
where like that was actually like reviewed by scientists and
Oh yeah.
people who like understand like the time space.
That
Um,
mo that movie is taught in colleges, like, it's like it's in a
yeah,
course, like, it's like that's how correct the science is in it, but
right.
I agree, like, it's like, they kind of in some stuff now, they kind of reference the older time travel stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, that's not how it works," so it's like, "This is how it works," and then it's like, "Is that really how it works either?" But I think, like, Dave Filoni himself has said, like, the world beyond worlds is not a means of time travel in itself, it's kind of just a means of, yeah, gathering knowledge or something like that. I think that's what
Okay.
he quoted it as. So I don't know if it's gonna be actual time travel. I don't know. I don't know. I suppose time will tell.
I see what you did there.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just it's one of those things where like I don't like I understand what they're trying to do. I think it'd be very interesting if they want to do different like sets of time that occur that could maybe be changed by someone being there in a different format. But then it would like I would say that that should create like a skew or a
Yeah.
different like time like a timeline, which is exactly what would happen. Because like you can't have the same timeline. Like you can't have it be exactly the same unless it occurs like right after somebody leaving in the sense. So like it's like that moment of you remember Back to the Future Part 1, I believe it's Part 1 or Part 2. No, it's Part 2. So at the end of Part 2, like they kind of you see Doc sending off Marty again
Yeah.
to go back to the present time. And then Doc is like, "Oh, man, that was great." But then you see Marty show up in the background and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like that moment, it's like, "Oh, no, like you yourself are stuck in the past.
Yeah.
And so we gotta go get you." So like that's kind of the continuation of it. That kind of worked out in the way so like it doesn't cause like a cross between two time streams. I know it'd probably still be different and whatnot, but at least that was like a cool moment. So I'm kind of hoping that if they do some sort of time traveling situation, it's more so like that person is gone. So it's like they show up and it scares the shit out of the person that was supposed to be like, well, that's it. That's over.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how it would work. Like, is it like a do-over sort of thing, or like, is
No,
this version
it's
of
just a
Ahsoka gonna
continuation.
remember? Yeah, like exactly. Like, is she gonna remember the mistakes that they made the first time and try and do things different or whatever? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're thinking in that way, then that means that like she would have her memory wiped if she goes back in time.
Mhm.
So that's another kind of theory of like of being able to go back in time is like would you still have the memories of things that you did in the past or like like coming up to the point where you did time travel?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, bro. It's
It's
all.
it's convoluted, man. It's very fucked. Like it's one of those things where like I don't want to mess with time travel. I'd rather just let the timeline be as it is and not worry about it. Like what happened
Yeah.
in the past is what happened in the past. It's all about the future of things.
Yeah, it's funny. I was only watching an episode of Supernatural today as well, and there was a bit of time travel in it as well, and it's like it's like they went back on a mission into like the 1800s, and they had to get like the ashes of a phoenix, like to kill a demon in the present day,
Mhm.
but they ended up like they had like only 24 hours to do it, and just as they were about to collect the ashes, they got zapped back and they missed the chance. But then it's like they come back and they're like, "Fuck, we didn't get them," like or whatever, like, and then the doorbell rings. And it's like a package that got sent to them from the past to the future. It's like this has been
Yeah,
sitting in the post office for all time, like since we've opened it. It's like the first package that was here or whatever, and then they open it and it's the ashes, and it's the dude who they met back then. It's like, oh, I found the address of whatever and the time, so I just had it sent at this exact time when they went back.
Mhm.
Like, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
yeah, that is pretty cool. Like, but like if they, I could see how this would work out. Though, is like imagine Thrawn succeeds in coming back, and then the like the new empire begins, but that's not how it should happen. And then that's kind of like what's going to be discussed in the next few episodes. It's like I like we need you to change that. We can't have that happen. So we need
Mm,
you to make sure that Thrawn never like never exists past the point of when they've
yeah,
last seen him.
I don't know if that's going to happen because I presume, again, this is just me presuming, but I think everything that we've been watching in this Filoni verse up until his movie, which I presume is going to close be the finale of it, I think it's all kind of getting together everybody to go fight Tron at the end. So I believe he will get out. Like believe he will come back. He'll take over as heir to the Empire, and they'll have to all fight together to kill him. Maybe even Luke will be involved in the movie and everything. Like I think it's gonna go there. Like so I think it is gonna happen. I think it's meant to happen, but yeah, I don't really understand the whole relevance. Like again, that theory I think makes sense when you think about why there was a continuity error in episode 1 as opposed to the animated series. I think that kind of plugs that hole. It kind of fills up that continuity error. But I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's all up in the air. Andre says here as well. It's like if next week's episode is technically the first episode, if they do decide to go back, I think that kind of makes sense. So this would technically be episode 1, you know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them doing this in Star Wars. Like it's kind of weird. There's a lot of weird shit happening in Star Wars now, to be fair. And I know some of it, especially some people who've been in the chat before, like Liam, for example. Like I know doesn't like Filoni, doesn't like where any of this is going. I think it's kind of refreshing in a way. Like I know I'm a big Filoni simp, but to be honest, like everything that's been good about Star Wars in the last while, Dave's been involved with, in my opinion. So it's like I kind of have trust in the guy, and I kind of like where it's going. I think it's refreshing. I think it's new, and it's something that we need. Like it's not all just fan service and stuff. Like I feel like he is actually building towards something, and I think it is going to pay off in a big way.
Yeah, we all know you like your Filoni sandwiches, dude. So
oh yeah, of course. Like think about it. Like everything that's been good so far has had him attached. Think about it. Like seriously.
Yeah.
It's
It's kind of funny, like thinking about it now, like going into the Mandalorian, see how many things that Jon Favreau has done. He's not bad. I think it's just there are points where he's so enamored with like Marvel that he wants to like almost make everything Marvel kind of style in terms of like, oh, this big reveal or this big tension that has to like lead up to this last point of like, oh
yeah.
man, nostalgia and whatnot. And so like I get that, but like I like what Filoni is doing so far in terms of this show because it's giving you everything in like bursts rather than in like into a lead up. Like it's not a roller coaster. It's not like a full on roller coaster where you're waiting for the drop. It's a roller coaster where the drop already happened and now we're just kind of going through like the slopes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of Hollywood right now is kind of trying to replicate what the MCU did, so I can kind of understand
Which
why.
it's so dumb, dude. Like because
Yeah,
it's you could tell that it's causing fatigue. Like
yeah,
it's the same storyline over and over, and it's the same like bullshit over and over. And because Thor Ragnarok did so well, they were thinking that they should like proceed with that type of style as they were going into like it- Infinity Wars and like an Endgame. Like you see little bits and pieces of it, so they're like, okay, well, like the seriousness is actually like the biggest thing, but they missed that point for some reason. Like Infinity War and Endgame were like really huge for the fact that they were hitting the feels and they were showing like how important it is that viewers are able to see their favorite characters do some of the things that you've seen in the comics before to a great degree. And then they come out with the show with like these shows and they're like, well, we don't have the same budget as the movie, right? So we can't exactly do what we did in the movies to do the same. Like I why not though? Like why not save your budget for those moments where you have like the big fight between She-Hulk and like one of her like Titania, instead of making her like a glamour model and only getting hit once like during the entire show, and then like having some bullshit ensue because you don't want to spend too much money on like animations and CG effects. You want to spend it
bro.
on like props.
Secret Invasion had the same budget as Ant-Man Quantumania. Like where did that money go? Like honestly, I know I keep asking this, but the more I think about it, like the more I really think it was like embezzling or something or laundering of some sort. Like because it's like it doesn't make any sense. Like
Well,
you had over 212 million or something like that. Like bring in a couple of Avengers for that. Like you know what I mean? It's
Right.
made no sense. Made no sense, bro.
And even if I know you don't like Quantumania as much, but even if you don't like it, you can admit at the very least that their effects and like visualizations were actually kind of cool. Like there were
I mean,
moments with like the aliens and like the fucking hand thing with the gel, like when Hank had to put his like hands into the thing just to control the ship.
oh
You know,
yeah,
the different CG like monsters that they had like in the quantum realm. They had like different types of like ways that ships like move off. They have houses that move, houses that can lift up themselves and like move around and such. I know that
I
you didn't like the sizing with like Cassie, but I
hated
thought
it.
it was fine. I don't know, like I'd have to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure like it looked okay. It wasn't the best. I'm not saying like I'm not vouching for it and be like, oh man, it was the greatest moment, but it wasn't as bad as like seeing fucking
Yeah, Modoc was like really bad. They should have just
right.
kept. They should have kept the mask on him. He looked
They
cool when
should
he
have.
first
Yeah,
appeared.
exactly. If
Instead
like
of having
if
the
we
big
had
stupid head on him.
right now,
It just
like
looks. It looked like '90s kind of like Power Rangers or something. Like like it
oh
looked
yeah,
like
with
when you
Zordon.
see. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like a slightly like polished version of that. It
Right,
just
yeah, because
it
like
was
it's not
such bullshit, dude. But if they kept that cool mask on him and then just had like Darren's voice. And they kind of hear the voice and be like, is that you, Darren? And then like you could just be like, yeah, this is what you've done to me or whatever. That would have been cool, man. And then they could have
yeah.
just it would have worked really well. But yeah, no, they had to
It,
put his big dumb head in it.
yeah, I mean they like they could have still had a reveal at the end of it though. Like let's say he's destroyed beyond repair and that like the mask is like kind of choking him a little bit, but he wants to say
Mhm.
one last thing, and so they take it off, but they show like his face is a bit disfigured and he
Yeah, yeah,
looks similar to the mask. So it's got like so he's got like scars and like just this weird face about him, but it looks
yeah,
similar to the mask. That way it's like, oh, that's why you wear it because that's how you kind of looked but you didn't want to look that hideous to everyone.
yeah, yeah.
Like it
Like
would have been
man,
cooler.
thinking about like Marvel at the moment, like and just kind of the state of the MCU right now. I have obviously seen every movie that's come out. I go to the cinema to see them all, like because I have to. That's just the way it is. We do a podcast about them, so we have to be talking about them straight away. And to be honest, I even if we didn't do this podcast, I still would go see them. Like I love going to the cinema to watch superhero
Right.
movies on the big screen. But like, there's a good few of them that have come out now recently that I haven't even bothered rewatching since they went up on like Disney Plus. Haven't watched Guardians 3 again. Haven't watched Ant-Man Quantumania again. Sorry, I tell a lie. I watched the first 5 minutes of it just to see my friend who was in a scene in it. And then that was it. The second I saw my friend, I was like, there he is. I was like, okay. Because when I watched it in the theater, I didn't see him. So I texted him straight after and I was like, bro, where were you in the movie? I was like, were you in the quantum realm? I was kind of looking around the quantum realm towards the end. I was like, he's going to be one of these dudes in the war fighting at the end. I'm looking around for him. I couldn't see him at all. He's
Mhm.
like, bro, I'm in the bookshop at the start of the movie. I was like, oh my God.
Oh jeez.
So I had to, like, when it first went up, I was like, okay, I watched the first 5 minutes, saw him, and I was like, okay, turn it off. That's it. I'm done. But
Gotcha.
like that's the kind of state that we're in right now. Like I'm not like looking forward to rewatching all these movies. Even the fact that I have like this beautiful fucking TV in my house as well, and you know what I mean, a Bose surround sound system. I'm like, it's the perfect setting to sit back and just watch these movies in proper 4K, IMAX, enhanced, whatever you want to call it. And I just have no interest in watching them. It's weird. It's weird to me. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's
I,
just
I mean, it's like it's not as enjoyable as it used to be. I think I don't know if they've set themselves up for for a fail. But I feel like they they assume that they set the bar too high and therefore need to try to lower it by giving you shit. Um,
yeah. I
because
don't know, bro.
That's
I
how
don't
it
think they
feels,
want.
man.
I don't think they want to put shit out. But I think what's happening is that they peaked in 2019. Let's just say that, right? The MCU peaked in 2019, and Endgame was 2.7 billion or something like that worldwide. Like it was, that was it. Like that was the height of it. Started to drop down. I enjoyed a good few of the movies that came out after Endgame, like Shang-Chi. I liked No Way Home, obviously. I even like Far From Home. The more I rewatch Far From Home, it's kind of weird one. Like a lot of people don't like Far From Home, but it's one that I can always kind of throw on and just kind of rewatch and kind of dip in and out of. It's like a comfort movie for me for some reason. I think it's because like he's going around Europe and it's a load of spots that I've been to before. So it's nice to see Spider-Man rocking around in Prague where I've been and stuff like so. It's
Right.
it's cool, you know. But yeah, I'm sure. Like, you know, I liked Eternals. I liked what else did I like? That might be it. But anyway, like there has been some good stuff there, like, you know, and even some of the Disney Plus shows. If you go back and rewatch them, like binge watch them, like do like, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier in one go, and, you know, do WandaVision in one go. Like they do kind of flow a lot better. I think,
Mhm.
you know, we've spoke about this
I,
before. Like, you know, they're not like made as like episodic TV. I think they're made as a film that's kind of cut up into episodic segments, and it just doesn't really work as well. You know, that's the feeling that I get. Like,
well, I think that's why Agents of Shield did decently well, because it wasn't necessarily tied like wholeheartedly into the MCU. Like it was kind of its own thing. Like you could
hmm,
take it or leave it.
yeah,
And it was more like on the lines of like humans doing human things. And I think that's what they were trying to do with Secret Invasion, which didn't work because like you're still trying to deal with scrolls. And for the fact that
yeah.
like I don't like that's another thing. I don't understand why Fury thought that scrolls weren't an Avengers level threat.
It's
Like
it's crazy, bro. I know, like, there's a million of them on the earth. They can look like anybody, like they could be the president. Like, you know what I mean? It's the biggest threat that they've ever come across. You know what I mean?
it,
Like, at least when the aliens dropped in Avengers 1, you knew who they were. You could clearly
right.
see these aliens could be anybody. You know, these aliens have infiltrated the Avengers.
Yeah.
They've
And dude,
infiltrated the UN. Like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
exactly.
this is
Like
threat level midnight, baby. Like, this is
it
it. Like,
literally, yeah, because it's gonna affect the whole world.
yeah.
Like, what are you
Yeah,
talking
sorry.
about? It's
Andre mentioned Multiverse of Madness. I love Multiverse of Madness. Sorry. Yeah. I bought a steelbook of it and everything. I love that movie.
nice.
Yeah. So, and that's one I've rewatched a few times. When I
Hell
first
yeah.
got my TV and like people were coming over, that was what I'd plug my PlayStation 5 in, and I would demo Multiverse of Madness in proper like ultra HD on the TV, and people were just like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" I'm like, "I know, I love it." Yeah, absolutely incredible, incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, man, I don't know. Like, I think the MCU, again, we kind of always talk about like kind of real world implications of all this stuff, and I think Disney were really trying to pump out their own streaming service to try and compete with Netflix and stuff like that, and it just didn't really work how they wanted it to. Now they're losing money left and right. They're losing millions and millions of subscribers. That's not even an exaggeration. I think they've lost something like 4 million subscribers because the stuff that they're putting out just isn't as good. I think they had that plan in place where they wanted to just have nearly something new every Wednesday or Friday on Disney Plus to try and keep people subscribed and keep the vibes going, but it didn't work the way they wanted it to. And now I
Right.
think they're deciding to kind of go back to the original ways. You know, what was his name? Um, Zaslav, was it, the dude who was like, he kind of introduced this whole model of like, let's just series everything. Let's just get something new out every week. And they literally fired him on a Sunday night. It was like, get fucking Bob Iger back in here. Like, you know what I mean? Bring him out of retirement. We need to fix things. We're losing millions here.
How,
So
how fucked is that, dude? Like you just got into retirement, and then like later on they're like, hey, we need you to come back. It's like, dude, I want to relax. Like for me, I would have been like, fuck you guys. You guys fucked up. Like I'm going to relax. Like you guys should have just taken my model and just stuck with it.
sorry, the Zaslav, I think, is Warner Brothers. Sorry. There's too many Bobs in fucking Hollywood, bro. There's too many of them. But yeah, look,
The only Bob I know is Bob Ross, dude.
Bob Ross is a legend, bro.
Oh
I
yeah.
love Bob Ross.
Dude, we
My
watched
my
like
my algo is getting pushed, like, is pushing loads of Bob Ross at night to me for ASMR, like. So it's just like I'm like literally like winding down at the end of the night, and like I'll be flicking
right,
through TikTok or something, and it's just him like painting fucking
just
mountains and
just
stuff.
painting
And he's
just
like, yeah, he's
soft,
like, we're gonna put this mountain
happy
up
little
here,
bush right
yeah,
here. We're gonna put a
yeah.
little, you know,
You
we're
want to put
gonna
this with those peaks, they can go wherever you want. Let's put them right here. It's
we're
like,
gonna
you
have
want
a
to put
little,
some trees in? They go
yeah. You know what? You know what? Why don't we make another tree? Why don't we put another tree right here?
right. There was one I was watching. He was like doing this like little like cabin in the woods, and it was snow on the ground and all. And he's like, "I'm gonna put a little shed in beside it. He looks a little lonely."
I'm like, God damn, dude. Like, I can't even think that quickly. Like, holy shit.
He's a legend, bro. I love him. I love him.
I've
He
never
he
really
streams on
watched.
Twitch. He does it live on Twitch.
It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's really interesting after a while, because I never really like religiously watched it, but I think
Mhm.
either Katie or Katie's mom watched it, and then like we watched an episode together, and it was just like the most comfortable thing ever just to watch. And I'm like, what the fuck is he gonna do next? Like, how many bushes is he gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
how's he gonna make the stream? Like, holy shit, he had the reflections of the trees in this little island area reflecting off the water in the lake like perfectly, so it looks like it's just reflecting off, and then there's like trees that are further away. It just looks so fuck like I'm like, this dude
It's
is just so good.
Yeah, and he gets like knives and he's just like swiping the thing and all, and you're like, how's this gonna look like a fucking mountaintop? And just what when he kind of zooms out a bit, and you're just like, oh my god, wow, it's amazing. But like
Yeah.
sometimes up close, it doesn't really look like it. You kind of have to take a step back. It's amazing, man. Like my grandma was a painter, and I think she used to really like him. I think that's where I kind of first knew who he was.
Mhm.
But she'd paint all that sort of kind of stuff as well. Like I must see if we can, because I think my parents have a few of her paintings. Like she used to do like canvases and hang them up around her house and all. And I think my dad might have a few of them. I might ask, can I have one for my house? Like,
Nice.
because yeah, I think it'd be cool to have one. Like, because some of them are actually really good. Like she did all that kind of stuff where she'd be like, blotch painting and stuff, and then before you know, she'd have like a kind of like a boat in the ocean sort of thing. Like, and you'd be like, oh my god, like it
Yeah.
actually, like it looks amazing. Like, so yeah. I think that'd be cool. If
It
I if I
is.
if I find some, I'll send you pictures of them just to kind of show you the shit that she used to do, because it's kind of like a bit Bob Ross, like
Yeah, I'm down to see that. So,
yeah.
um, last thing about that though is like I don't know what your favorite moment is, but I think my favorite moment has to be like the whole like cleaning the brush thing and just like slapping it on the
Oh, he's like, yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, it's like proper ASMR. Like it's amazing, and the fact that my phone's sitting beside me now, listening to this whole conversation, of course, as Apple and
Oh
Android
yeah,
do.
it's gonna pop up on our TikTok.
Oh, like the second I open any social media, it's gonna be Bob Ross everywhere, guaranteed, guaranteed. Do you have anything else to say about Ahsoka, or should we go into One Piece?
The only other thing I want to say about Ahsoka is that the fourth episode has really brought me back.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I was like that I was hating it, but the third episode didn't grasp me as well as I wanted it to. I think there was something missing.
Mhm.
But maybe it was just so that they could put the rest of the stuff in the episode 4.
Yeah.
Because this felt like way more interesting than the previous one.
I think this show is gonna have like really serious rewatch value. I think if you were to sit down and watch in one sitting, watch those first 3 episodes, it
Mhm.
would kind of get you ramped up and ready to go. And then you watch like 4, 5, 6, which are probably going to be like all kind of revolving around Anakin and so on. I think it's going to be incredible. Like a
Yeah,
rewatch of it's going to be incredible. Like I think it's going
yeah.
to really shine. Like, and the Kenobi series is terrible, like really bad. But I got to give a shout out to Kai Patterson. This dude made his own like movie out of the all the Kenobi episodes. He
Mhm.
basically chopped and screwed it and added his own score in, and he put like music from the sequels in and everything. And he basically turned Kenobi into a 2.5 hour movie. And honestly, I've watched it like 4 or 5 times, and it's fucking brilliant. And it's he doesn't really add anything else to it. Like he actually edits a couple of scenes to make them make more sense.
Mhm.
But it's basically the Kenobi show, but just the way that he edits it and chops and screws and puts it all together,
Mhm.
it actually works as a film, and it's so good. Like when the movie starts, so he's done it like, I think this is like, he's recently released his 4K version with like subtitles and everything, and that's his latest version. And he's kind of changed it a few times in it, like he kind of changes out the order of them, but in the latest version he has, so the movie like starts, he does like a rolling credits thing, and then it goes into the flashbacks of like him and Anakin training and during like Attack of the Clones and stuff. So you're
Mhm.
like starting it with Obi-Wan and Anakin and so on, and then it just kind of builds into him working in the fish market and so on, and it just kind of flows a lot better. And then you don't meet the Inquisitors for a little while, and oh, it's brilliant. It is. It's honestly brilliant. I think he has his own website for anybody who's listening to this or watching us and may want to check it out. You can download the movies off his website for free. Um, it's well worth it. Honestly, it's incredible. It's a fantastic watch.
Mhm.
Like it's one of those ones where I think I would rewatch it once a year. Um, I like around Christmas time or something. Kind of gets that. I get like around Christmas time, I like to watch like kind of Star Wars and stuff like that. And I think this is something that I could rewatch like yearly. Like it's that good. Like you could watch episode 3 and then watch this directly after, and it would be perfect. They would fit right in. So yeah,
Gotcha.
shout out to Kai Patterson. I might drop a link to his website in the comments below this video for after the stream is done. So if anyone wants to check it out, go for it. One Piece, bro. I'm done. I'm finished.
You're finished, but like you may be like I know what the series.
Well, you know everything. Of course you do. You know it all, bro.
So I need you to give your input first before I do anything. Like I know you finished it, and we're going to finish the rest of it, but by the end of the next week. But we're kind of taking it slow because we want to, watch other things. Like we have a lot of other things that we want to watch. Like we also watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I had her watch Chainsaw Man, at least the first season of it, and I'm not sure when the next season is going to come out. But yeah, that's why we're kind of taking it easy. We already know what's going to happen, so like we're not too worried about it. But you, knowing that like you were able to just go full force on it, what did you?
Yeah, so I really liked it. There was one episode, I can't remember which one it was. Might have been episode 4 or 5, but there was one episode that kind of I just completely lost interest. I don't know what it was. It was just a slow episode. There wasn't really a lot going on, and I found myself sitting on my phone and stuff. And I was like, "Oh God, that wasn't good." Like I was just like, it just completely brought me out of it altogether. But I was like, I'm gonna stick with it, of course.
Yeah.
And like Zorro is still like my favorite character in it. I think he's epic. His kind of origin with his friend, or I don't know if he loved her or if they were just friends or whatever, and like they both made the promise to each other that they would train every day to become the best swordsman and all. So you kind of find out his history of why he wants to do what he does. Nami as well, am I saying her name right?
Yeah.
Nami, yeah. So Nami's kind of origin as well was kind of sad, and they kind of showed how her town or her village was taken over by the fishmen, and she became like a kind of slave to them and a map maker for them and all. Like I thought that was kind of cool. And the kind of twist where, like, again, it wasn't really a twist because like, I knew there was something dodgy about her anyway to begin with. Like they kind of showed that in episode 2, I think, where it was like, she was on the phone to somebody. It's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I knew there was something going on. So when she kind of turned out to be one of them, I was like, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Like, really like Sanji's story as well. He's a legend. So like he's probably number 2 in like my favorites in the show. Yeah. So it's Zorro and Sanji. Like if the show was just about them, I would love it. Like, now to be fair, Luffy's actually a bit better as you come towards the end of the show. He kind of does calm down a bit, and I think you had said that as well.
Yeah,
I think he kind of becomes a little more focused on being the captain and a little more serious. He kind of matures a little bit as the show goes on. So yeah, I don't hate him as much now towards the end of the show, but I think he still has a lot of growing to do.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Sanji's a legend, and I loved his little origin story as well. Was told really well in the show. I don't know how it compares to the animated series or the animated version or the manga or whatever, but it was very cool.
I just want to give you one thing, and like you probably won't remember this, dude, because like I'll tell you this. You think that's Sanji's origin? That's not Sanji's origin. That's like a second part of his origin. Okay. Like you don't get to find out the first part of his origin until like 800 episodes in.
Oh wow, okay.
So like it's nice. it's nuts, dude. Like you really don't know who Sanji is until like late into the show.
Yeah, because I think when you first like his oldest clip or whatever you want to say, like it was we see him, he's on a ship and he's like a little sous chef or whatever, like, and then the ship gets attacked and he gets washed ashore. But I presume like he's only a child at that stage, so I presume something, maybe he gets like taken away from his family and his people, and then maybe gets captured and he's working on that ship as a slave or something like that. I presume. I'm only guessing. I don't know. But I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I want to see season 2. Right. I've heard it's written. They're just literally waiting for the strikes to end so they can start shooting it, which is great. That's fantastic. They were saying like if the strikes ended tomorrow, they could have the show. They could have season 2 out next year, which is fantastic. Yeah, I don't know when the strikes are going to end. I don't think they will, but time will tell, I suppose.
Yeah,
we're kind of. I don't really care about the strikes right now, but I think in 6 months' time, it's going to start pissing me off when I know that it's like, okay, this should be out now, that should be out now. We should only be like 2 months away from this and all. You know what I mean? It's going to get annoying. Like it's not annoying right now, but it's going to get annoying in future episodes for sure.
Come on, you motherfuckers! I want to watch a movie.
Selfish bastards. You're servants to the people. This is
Yeah.
it. Like that's your job. Like you know.
Yeah, it's just
I got involved in a Twitter conversation. I shouldn't have left a comment on it, but I got involved in this Twitter conversation during the week as well about the strikes. And you know, it was like something about like Aaron Paul, the dude from Breaking Bad, where he was talking about, you know, he's like, oh, I don't get any residuals from Netflix for Breaking Bad.
Mhm.
And it's like, you know, mate, you were paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to be in that show when it first came out. And then you had your residuals from when it aired on TV on AMC and everything. And now the rights to that show were sold to Netflix. So nobody gets residuals. That's just the way it is. So now he's giving out because it's like one of the biggest shows on Netflix and he's not seeing any money from it. But it's like you made all your money, you made your residuals, and AMC sold it. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you know,
Right,
I don't,
but like it's the same thing with Forrest Gump. Imagine if like somebody sold the rights to Forrest Gump to someone else. Like, can they still like work the contract? Because Tom Hanks is getting like gets a portion of it every time like it's aired.
yeah,
Like he wanted a
being
like a percentage of it.
aired versus streamed is a different thing. Like, and this is the whole kind of thing. Like, it's like none of these contracts. Like when Aaron Paul signed his contract for Breaking Bad, there was no streaming. Like it didn't exist. So he didn't have a clause for residuals for streaming. Now I presume every contract signed after today is going to have some sort of stipulation for streaming rights, of
Oh yeah.
course. That's just the way it is. But streaming doesn't actually like it doesn't actually give that much money. You know what I mean? Like all these like for example, like I'm big into music and stuff, and I used to like DJ and make music and all this sort of stuff. And I've never seen I think at the most I ever saw from streaming was like 93 cents in a payslip from a fucking record label that had a song out that I made. You know what I mean? Like nothing. And even like Calvin Harris, I remember said in an interview before he was asked, like, you know, how much money do you make from Spotify, for example? He had the most streamed song ever on Spotify. And he said like 1 billion plays, 1 billion would it be on Spotify is like $11,000. It's fucking nothing, like, you know what I
Crazy.
mean? Yeah. So like, there's no money in it, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what are these actors looking for? Like, is what I don't understand. Like, you know, it's like, do you want a percentage of subscriber money because that's gonna fuck up the whole industry. Like,
Mm.
if you think Netflix is expensive today, if they lose this and end up having to pay money to every single actor who's on Netflix residuals, or for some, I don't know if they do it by hours watched or episode clicks or plays or whatever, or you know, like how do they calculate it? Number one, or are they just going to say like, look, you make $1 billion a year in subscriptions, like you're going to have to pay a percentage of that because all the content is this people's work. Like Netflix will double in price. It will.
Well,
They won't be able to afford it. Like,
not just double, but they'll also like look towards doing a lot more originals because then
and
they'll
as
they'll be
well,
able to maximize their input.
exactly. But then as well, they're probably gonna do like, you know, the way they brought in that cheap tier where you know you had ads or whatever. They'll
Yeah,
probably implement ads across the entire platform, no matter what tier you're on, and then they'll be looking to make money off advertising. Like they will, like that's what they'll do, guaranteed. That is what
HBO
they will do.
technically does that. Like if you check their Max app, like whenever you play the next video, first 5 seconds is their logo. Like
Yeah,
you can't skip it. Like,
yeah.
and I know it's as simple as a logo, but like those 5 seconds will probably be like, all right, that means that they're invested in this episode. That means we're still getting revenue because they took a look at at our logo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's I think Apple are starting to do it now as well. Like where if you play like an Apple series, so if you play like an episode of Apple TV,
Hmm.
um, if you start episode one, the first thing it'll show you is an ad for a different show on Apple TV, and then the episode starts. So you get like a trailer or like a little clip kind of for something else on the app, and then the episode plays. So maybe they'll start doing that sort of shit. But
Yeah, because
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
like, and it's not that bad until like you realize it's very annoying, and then you want to pay for the premium price.
Exactly, exactly. So what they'll do is they'll put that out on every tier, and then they'll create like a gold tier with no ads, and it's like fucking $35 a month. Like,
Right. And then you'll get more people that are outputting things on Chrome, like, hey, we got some more ad blockers, things that can
yeah.
bypass like things on the
Not if you're
website. And then
watching it on not if you're watching it on a TV though. Like if
yeah,
you're
that's
watching it
true.
through like a Samsung app or on an Apple TV or something like that, you know, you're not going to be able to skip any ads.
Unless
So
you unless you're like incredibly smart and know how to jailbreak it and attune it to some way. But like it's like the way that they design those contraptions nowadays, it's very fucking hard to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think before people would go to that level of trying to crack Apple TVs and all that sort of stuff, and hack their Samsung TVs or whatever, they're gonna just cancel Netflix. Like seriously,
Yeah,
like
like because it's not even
if
worth it.
Netflix implement ads as compulsory, or if they up the price any more than it already is, I pay like €22 a month for Netflix as it is. And it's
Mhm.
not the only streaming service that I pay for. I pay for Apple, I pay for Paramount Plus, I pay for Amazon, Disney Plus. There's like I'm paying probably, when it comes to the end of it, I'd say I'm probably paying close to 100 euro a month on subscriptions for fucking TV. Like, if it starts going up more because of all these greedy actors, like I'll just cancel it all and I'll start torrenting stuff. Like I don't care. I just do it. I just do it now because it's handy to have it all there in the one place, and you can just kind of scroll through and find what you want to watch, and it's in 4K and it's got good sound. But if they start getting greedy, I'll just go back to fucking pirate and everything for free.
I mean, that's
And I'm
ultimate.
not the only one, dude. I'm not the only one. Everyone
Yeah.
will fucking start doing that.
Well, that's the
People
thing
will just
is like
cancel left and right.
they're not thinking about the future tense of it. Like yeah, the actors need more money, but like it's like, dude, like if you need more money, then we have to charge them more. Then people are gonna want to pirate shit because of
Yeah,
like
it's already
exactly
too
what you're
expensive.
saying. Like you're already at that point. It's like, dude, I'll just go fucking find it. Somebody downloaded it somewhere, and they're just
Yeah,
distributing it like unknowing, like with other people not knowing that their
hmm
shit's like they're losing money on, and it's already
100%.
like that's already the case. Like, but it's a perpetual or like a vicious cycle, man. Like it gets good and then it gets bad. It gets good and then
Yeah.
it gets bad. So like I think this is just part of the cycle where it's gonna get bad.
Yeah, I think they're going to get strong armed into doing something, but I think the repercussions of it are going to be so much worse for Hollywood. Like honestly, it's going to be so bad. Like I think it used to be all about the box office and movies, and TV was just cable. That was it. Like that's the way it used to be, and that was fine for actors who were on TV because they got their residuals or whatever. And then anyone who wanted to be a serious actor was a movie star because they wanted to be in the box office and blah blah blah. And I think when streaming came along, everyone wanted to watch streaming, so all the eyeballs went to TV, and that's why all the actors started moving into TV and everything. Whereas now, what's going to happen is if streaming becomes this really expensive place to be, like people aren't going to want to be on it, and they're going to go back to pirate
Go
and
back to
stuff,
the
or they're going
movies.
to go back to the movie theaters, yeah. And then they're like,
Yeah.
let's go watch a movie, and that's it. Like I'm not going to pay for streaming services to have a library of movies there that I may watch or may not watch. You know,
Right.
that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah. But anyways, speaking of pirating, let's go back to One Piece.
Yes, yes. So yeah, Sanji, legend, love him, absolutely love him. And like I loved like in the finale, like he's such a cool fucker as well. Like he's just like going around like fighting people, but he's wearing a suit with a bag on his back, and he's got his hands in his pockets, and he's doing like these spinning kicks and shit. And he's just
Yeah.
such a cool bastard. Like I'm like, oh, this guy's a legend. That's legend. Like I love it. And then like the banter between him and Zoro as well is really good. It's really funny. Like
They do it
there's one
all the
part
time in the anime.
yeah, like there's one part where he like there's a fishman or a shark or whatever you want to call him. Like he's about to attack Zoro, and like Sanji comes out of nowhere, just throws this like flying kick and like knocks your man off, and Zoro turns around, I had him. And then he like Sanji's like, well, if you had him, then I wouldn't have got him. And all like, the two of them are just so back and forth. Like it's
They're
just
all
really good.
the
Yeah. Nah, it's really cool. It's really
Dude,
cool. I like it.
I love that. Did he give the line where because they're like because Sanji only attacks with his legs and his feet.
Yeah.
So like I know that in the anime, like the reason why he does that is because the cook's hands are like delicate. Like so
Mm,
you don't want to dirty them or scuff them. You don't want them to become like rough.
hmm
So that's the whole point. Is Sanji doesn't want to ruin his cook hands.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I don't think they referenced it in the show really, or if they did, maybe I missed it. But I did definitely notice like the hands are in the pockets, and he's like throwing all these like scissor kicks and like
Yep.
capoeira style fighting and all, and it just looked beautiful. Um, yeah, it's epic. Like he's a badass. I love
Hmm. Yeah, and Andre is putting out the usual terms between like Sanji and Zoro. They each call each other shitty cook and Mazad. Or
it.
or or curly brow. Which I don't think that he has the curly eyebrow in the show, does he?
Who Sanji?
Sanji, yeah.
I don't think so.
It's
He
a
kind of has like his hair is long and it kind of covers his face, so like one of his eyebrows shows out. So I don't know if he's
mm,
doing like a rock thing where he's like trying to like curl his eyebrow or something. I didn't really notice it, to be honest.
gotcha. Yeah, because I know when they first introduced Sanji, it's like it's very hard to tell, but I'm assuming that there's a curly eyebrow somewhere, and it's important because like that's part of like his kind of history in the past. Like there's a lot of things that he's associated with, in which case like there are other people in the world that also have curly eyebrows. Um,
Right,
and part of them is their family. Another part is like someone who is accused of being Sanji.
right.
um, and that's one of the cooler things that I'm excited about too, like in terms of when they do the second season. Because when we actually get to see the pirate, like all the Straw Hats get their own wanted posters.
Hmm.
The really fucked up thing is that when Sanji finally gets his poster, it they didn't get a picture of him,
Yeah.
so it's just a drawing. But that's the grounds for a story, which like I remember watching that with Katie, and like it's not that big of a spoiler, but basically there's this guy named Duval, and so he was like, "I'm so pissed at you, Sanji. I want you to fucking die. You ruined my life." And he's like, "Who the fuck are you? I don't know who the fuck you are." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And then he pulls up the fucking wanted poster. He's like, "This bullshit." And then he takes like the mask comes off, and it turns out he looks exactly like the fucking poster.
Oh my god. That'd be hilarious if they did that in live action.
I would love that, dude, because like it gets so bad that Sanji kicks the fuck out of him in the face, and it actually changes his face for the better.
Oh my
like he no longer looks like Sanji's supposed to.
god. Oh my god. Now the
It's
dude who
so
plays
funny.
Sanji at the show is a good looking guy, so your man's lucky, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
but like that was the funny part is like the
yeah,
wanted poster barely like looks anything like him, just the curly brown, the hair, but like his
yeah,
nose is like all puffed, his lips are like white as shit, like his cheeks are all puffed as well. Like
yeah. Like
it's really good stuff.
I know you've been mentioning the wanted posters obviously for a while, so like I know they're important. Like, but
Oh yeah.
at the end of the show, Luffy gets his wanted poster and he's like the happiest kid in the world because it's like
Yeah, it's great.
30 million or something. I think it's like one of the biggest bounties ever. And when the show ends, you see all the enemies that he's kind of made throughout the show are all coming back, and it's like they see the wanted poster. So obviously, they're building up season 2 to just be everybody going after him now, which is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that's usually the case when it comes to like the next part.
Mm.
Considering that like they know that he's kind of a danger to everyone. So like they also want to get their revenge, and they almost do in certain cases, but like somehow Luffy just makes it out. He's a very lucky character. Like
Yeah,
very
yeah,
lucky. There's a lot of moments where he could have died, and somehow he
yeah.
made it. Um and
Can he die?
can he die? Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want
like
like
I don't
he's
know,
died
like
before.
yeah, like I don't know, like because again, like he's like basically rubber or whatever, like so
Yeah.
he seems pretty indestructible right now, like the Luffy that I know, like he's getting more powerful obviously as the show's going on. Like there's
Mhm.
a scene in the final episode where he's like kicking pillars down to like collapse a building and all, and he's just like doing it like with ease, like he's just knocking pillars off the walls and stuff, like so it's like he's getting very strong. And then
Mhm.
obviously as he learns his powers more, I presume he becomes pretty indestructible. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
For the most
Is
part,
there
it's
weapons that can kill the devil fruits or whatever? Is there like
um
weapons or other fruits that can kill them or take them out or something? Again,
there's
I'm probably
there's
going way into
counters.
the future. Yeah,
Well,
counters. Yeah.
there's counters. So like so Luffy is like strong against, anything that's solid, nothing that's sharp. Nothing
Okay.
that so like he's weak against slicing attacks. Slicing, stabbing, anything that can
Oh, so
basically pierce him.
could like Zoro like kill him with a sword?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in the sense cuz
That hasn't really been explained in the show. I suppose his only weakness that I've seen so far is that like seawater like depletes his
seawater.
powers or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, seawater, once it reaches a certain point in seawater, like I think it has to get to maybe like mid level of his body. It'll start to make him feel like weaker and weaker as it starts to get closer to
Yeah.
like his neck. And yeah, like later on, like hockey becomes a big thing. Katie just learned about hockey. Hey, chillin, how you doing, buddy?
Welcome in,
Um,
chillin'.
and the like sea prism stone, which I don't think they showed that in like the first season. Later on, you'll find out what that is. It's more so like concentrated form of like seawater that's like basically calcified, and like they use it as like handcuffs and stuff like that, so that you can stop like a devil fruit user's powers. So
Right.
the like, but you'll find out later on, like if they do push like the second and probably a third season, that like as strong as Luffy is right now, like he's nothing. He's still nothing. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like you'll find out like halfway through the entire series, you find out how weak they actually really are. And I think that's one of the best parts of the show, because it really shows how much they've
Humanizes them or whatever.
yeah, because it really
Yeah.
shows how much they've just gotten by getting really lucky.
Yeah.
Like it's just like Luffy, like it's not too much of a spoiler, but Luffy will fight someone who's like made of electricity, and he finds out like, well, rubber doesn't like
Yeah.
electricity doesn't conduct well on rubber, so
Mhm.
like Luffy isn't affected by that. Um,
Right.
finds out like later on he fights someone who's made out of sand, and then it turns out like water is the main thing, because if you solidify sand, like it becomes like solid.
Yeah.
Um, like basically all that kind of like all those kind of things. So everything becomes like a bit of a trope of like, oh, I can beat you with a gimmick. And then
Yeah.
the second half of the show, like the entire like I would like I'm talking about the anime now. The second half of the anime is basically like there's no more gimmicks. There's no more of the gimmick shit. Like you can't kill people, or you can't fight people with just gimmicks anymore.
Yeah.
Um and that becomes like the hard point in terms of like using hockey, because hockey becomes like this manifestation of like anything that's intangible becomes tangible now, due to the fact that hockey allows for things that like being able to strike someone that's made out of like light. If
Mhm.
you have hockey, they can't just go through it anymore. They have to block
Okay.
it. So like that
Gotcha.
becomes the main thing. So like that kind of fixes what Luffy and his crew have been missing for the majority of the first half, is that they didn't realize how powerful people are and how important it is to learn things like hockey.
Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
yeah,
I did like as well. Sorry, at the end of, or sorry, towards the end of the series, you find out that the like Marine captain is Luffy's grandfather. That was pretty. I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh
oh
shit.
yeah,
Okay.
well like yeah, Vice Admiral Garp. Yeah,
Yeah,
like he's like big thing, and that's
and
one of
he's
the
really
things I wanted.
powerful too. Does he have powers as well? Is he
No,
like
he doesn't
knocking?
have
He's
any
like,
devil fruit powers.
well, like in the show, he's like really strong. Like at one
Yeah,
point, like
that
he's like kicking the shit out of Luffy and like throwing him across like the rooms and stuff. Like, and I'm like, what the hell? This guy has like serious strength.
yeah, that's just him. He doesn't have any devil fruit powers.
Interesting.
Like, and that's the thing, is like it like one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too, because you finished it, was that Garp is an extremely powerful vice admiral, and he wasn't lying when he says that he probably could have been fleet admiral, but he just likes to go adventuring. He really likes to do the things that he wants to do the way he wants to do it. And basically he's like a hero to the Marines and the Navy itself. And
Right.
you'll find more about that later. Like he's a very important person within the Navy.
Hmm.
Um, and the funny thing about this whole situation of you finding out that Garp is Luffy's grandfather is that in the anime you don't find out until like episode 320 something. Like you
Yeah.
don't find out until late, like later on, like halfway through the first half,
Right.
because that's when it becomes a more important situation. The
Hmm.
idea behind Garp and Kobe and Helmeppo is that Garp finds Kobe and Helmeppo through the fact that they've become a bit more of a tough and selfless group. And the way that they have Americanized, and I say this a lot, like you can even ask Katie, I say the word Americanized a lot in terms of this live action One Piece, because
Hmm.
Kobe is a little bit of a scaredy cat at the beginning, but he gets really adamant about what he wants to do and what his ambitions are, and he doesn't question himself as often as it seems. Like he's not very like timid. Um,
Yeah.
he's a very he gets in there, and that's why Garp likes him, is because he has that ambition, he has the drive, he has the know-how. Like he wants to be better. He wants to be stronger because he wants to take down Luffy in the end.
Yeah.
Um, and they don't really convey that too much in the live action. They kind of pull back Kobe's story a bit harsh, like a bit
Mm,
harshly on it because like we don't like the reason why we don't see Garp so early in the anime is because Garp is training Kobe and Helmeppo.
yeah. He
And
did mention about training them at the end of the show, so like their training's gonna start
good.
in between seasons, I'm guessing.
Yeah. But like you won't like but the idea is that you probably shouldn't see them until like way later until like they get to the point where they need to like encounter them.
Yeah.
But they really I think they really like the live action crew really want to drive this point of like we don't have like 1,000 episodes to push into the show. Like we have to keep pumping out
Yeah.
like hour longs that take up 10 to 20 episodes.
Mhm.
So like they have to speed up and like skip a bunch of shit. So that's why in terms of the Baratier, like when you first get there, you saw that Mihawk was being talked to by Garp. Like they had the little transponder snail and like the mini snail in his ear and whatnot, and he was talking about like I need you to go take down Monkey D. Luffy.
Yeah.
And so like that actually doesn't happen in the anime. So what happens in the anime is that Don Krieg goes out into the Grand Line. And that's exactly like that's true. They went out into the Grand Line, but they encountered Mihawk. And Mihawk fucking like destroyed 50 of their ships, 5,000 of their men, and they had to run with their tails behind their legs back to the East Blue
Yeah.
to survive. And so the reason why Mihawk actually goes to the Baratier in the anime is because he's trying to finish the job and kill Don Krieg. And so it doing it this way in a way robs Luffy of the idea that like he can overcome like these different obstacles. But it's not like a terrible situation. It's really I'm okay with Don Krieg being skipped. I'm just glad they didn't outright just like cut him. Because I was like, because I heard that he was going to be cut, and I'm like, that's really weird. But at least they showed him, which is really cool. Like if you'd have seen him in the anime, he's a lot fucking tougher.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so like the fight scene between Mihawk and Zoro. Let's talk about that. What do you think about that?
Um, yeah, it was cool. This I was expecting it to be a little better, like choreography wise, but I
It's
suppose it's
exactly
kind
what
of
happens in the anime.
yeah, yeah. I suppose it's kind of showing how out of his league Zorro is. Like he's
Mhm.
not like where he thinks he is, you know. So I thought I thought it was very very cleverly kind of portrayed. Just he's kind of delusional in a sense. Like he thinks like he already is the greatest swordsman, but that like just showed how little effort needs to be put in to beat him and how
Well,
much
because
work he
like
actually has to go. You know.
yeah, because Mihawk is the peak, and if he can beat the peak, then he's done.
Yeah.
So like showing that Mihawk doesn't even need his regular sword, like he doesn't need Yuri or Yuri, I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
If you see that he can defeat Mihawk, then Zoro doesn't have to be part of the crew anymore. So like showing
Yeah,
that like
exactly. Yeah. He has to
yeah,
lose. Like it's the
yeah,
classic
exactly.
arc though, really, isn't it? Like you have to lose and then you gotta redeem yourself and
Mhm.
training montage and you know
Gotta be a
that's it's
montage.
yeah, exactly. It's always got it. Yo, Angelina,
And
welcome back. Just yeah, we're
yep.
talking about One Piece now. So we're kind of going over the series. I don't watch the anime. Wolf watches the anime.
Mhm.
Andre in the chat is massive on the anime as well, so you're in good company here. I just kind of talking about it as a newbie. Like I've only seen the live action. That's it.
Yeah, he's kind of like working on just the live action itself. If it continues in seasons, that's great. We don't expect you to watch the anime, but if you decide to watch it, um, I can like like I'll tell you this, Pinto. There are episodes if you really want to skip everything. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
there are I think two or three episodes that you can watch that are literally like about an hour and 40 minutes to 2 hours long and they are literally just recaps. So they have
yeah,
episode of East Blue. So they give you like a full like section for 2 hours of like everything that happened in the East Blue. It doesn't cover every single thing because there's all these little like you know, these little things that you'll see in there, and that they're not going to really show them like in the cut.
Yeah.
But if you really want to just skip a couple like series parts, then that's
Yeah,
one
I
thing.
don't
But like,
I don't know.
I don't expect you to start. I am happy though that you appreciate the live action.
The live action's fun for sure. I just know I don't have time to watch
Yeah.
all of the anime. Like I would
No.
like to, the show was fun but I don't think it hit me hard enough to be like, okay, I actually need to watch
Yeah.
all these anime series now. Now maybe by the end of season 2, I'll want to jump in and check them out. And maybe I'm sure by the time season 2 ends, like we could be you could be on like episode 200 of the anime or something. So like maybe I could just skip the start and just jump in from the bits I haven't seen or something. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I know Josh from the Den of Nerds is again like him and his missus are watching the anime now and they've never watched it before. Like they love the show so much now that they're watching the anime and going through it.
Mhm.
So, obviously it's working for people. Like, people are watching the live action and going, shit, I need to watch this. I need to see what happens next. Can't wait
Dude,
for them to make another season.
well, that's the thing, man. Is like the only thing I'd have to say is that if you don't start it um at a certain point and they're on the final part of the because Oda's already said before this is like he's working on the anime and the manga. He's in the final saga, which means that there's maybe three more islands or maybe three more like arcs or
Yeah.
series that are going to go through, and then the show's over. And so, like, if you don't want to miss out on that, then by all means you have to catch up. But
Yeah.
if you're okay with people spoiling the ending to you when it actually comes around, because I guarantee fucking to you, people are gonna spoil the fuck out of it because there's a lot of dumb idiots who are like, I saw the ending. I'm gonna go tell everyone because I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that.
bad. That's bound to happen. Like
Yeah,
that's
of course.
we live in a spoiler enhanced world, like really with all the social media and everything. And
Yeah.
everyone in the world has a voice now, so it's so easy to spoil stuff. But sure,
Do,
look, it is what it
do
is.
do you remember those videos on YouTube where like people like someone put up a video and they had someone drive by and they're like, Snake kills Dumbledore, and it's like,
Yeah, that's what it used to be. People screaming
you
outside
fucking
theaters where
dick.
people were queuing up or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that used to be spoiler culture. It's so funny how far we've come.
And like even people today to be like, "Oh my god, I never watched the show. What the fuck are you talking about?" And I'm like, "No, fuck
Yeah.
it. It's been over like 20 years now, right?"
Yeah, I know. Like it's ridiculous. Like I think there's definitely and like in my Discord, I'll always kind of the day after a show is popped up. I usually kind of try not to talk about spoilers and stuff on Discord for maybe 24 hours, maybe 48 if in some cases. But I think there's a lift on spoilers. Like there has to be, you know what I mean? Like because
I give it a
if you
month.
a month
A month,
for
dude.
oh no way,
Cuz
bro,
cuz
not a
cuz
chance.
people are always late to the party.
True.
And if you're late to the party after a month, like it's your own fucking fault at that point.
I would say the same thing, but I would give it like 2 days at most.
It is
So like
like
let's say if like
but
for
people
Ahsoka
hide under a
episode 4.
rock.
Ahsoka episode 4, for example. I'm not talking about the Anakin Skywalker thing for a month after it happens. Like, no way. This podcast wouldn't be able to happen, like.
Well, I mean,
I give it 24 hours, bro. Usually.
Netflix is
Usually
different in my
24.
opinion. Almost everyone in this world has Netflix,
Yeah.
whether you actually pay for it or not.
Yeah. My whole view of it is if you genuinely care enough about some content that getting a spoiler for it is going to piss you off, you really need to see that quickly because otherwise it getting spoiled it's on you.
Uh,
Like, it's your
dude,
own fault.
dude, the biggest fucking culprit, and I'll tell you right now, and if you're listening right now, Robert, I'm calling you out. Stop looking on social media when you're about to fucking look at like watch something and
Yeah.
not be spoiled on it. Like
Yeah.
if you cannot watch a movie within the first day of it releasing,
Yeah.
stop going on fucking social media. Turn that shit off. Or call me. Fucking call
Yeah.
me. I'll give you a 20. Go to the fucking theater. I don't give a shit. Just don't
Yeah.
be mad at me when you're like, oh, I fucking walked onto the thing and then like I saw go on TikTok and then they spoil the entire fucking thing of quantum media for me, or they spoil fucking multiverse of bad. Like I'm like they spoiled Spider Verse, and it's like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
like
no,
there's
yeah.
no reason.
I know. It's just this is like as I say, and that's why I kind of give 24 hours because time zones are a thing. For me, like I live in Ireland, so for Ahsoka, for example, that airs on like the West Coast at like 9 p.m. on Tuesdays or something like that.
Mhm.
So like those people are going to bed that night and they've already seen the show. I have to obviously sleep. I wake up, I do a full day's work, and then I get to watch Ahsoka. So I know, and I used to always be the same with like Game of Thrones and everything. I would have to have at least once a week. I would have to have a social media blackout for that day. I couldn't open Facebook, couldn't open Twitter, couldn't open Instagram, any of them, because I just knew that the second when I open them, I'm going to see a spoiler for the show that I haven't had a chance to watch yet because I'm too busy
Right.
working and sleeping. So and again, that's why I say 24 hours should be plenty, because you've got your time zones, you've got your work day, you've got whatever you need to do. And I think like within 24, maybe 48, I don't mind going 48 sometimes, but anything over that, I think it's your own fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Find the time, find the 40 minutes that you need to watch the fucking episode. You know what I mean? So it doesn't get spoiled for you.
Right. And I can agree with Chillin about this. It's not hard to put yourself in a bubble, but it is hard when you're such a like social like butterfly in the sense that you need to be on social media for like every time you wake up, social media from the get-go. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like I'm like you're like if you spoil it, if you get it spoiled because you can't get off of social media for a bit, that's
Yeah.
your own fault, dude.
Yeah, like I think there's a whole like spoiler and leak culture is one thing, and I enjoy it personally. Like I love kind of hearing about leaks and potential spoilers for projects that are happening in a year's time. Like I think that
Yeah,
kind of
it's
that
fine.
helps. It helps the vibe of it and helps you get like excited for it. But then at the same time, it's like if I know something's out, I don't want to hear what happens in it, if that makes sense. And I know that's
Yeah,
stupid, but it's it's a different type of spoiler. You know what I mean? Like so, for example, when Shazam 2 came out, I saw like an hour after the movie came out, I hadn't even fucking got a chance to get my tickets yet. And I had seen like someone taking a picture of like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman in the theater, and I was like, for fuck's sake, like that would have been
yeah,
nice to fucking experience first time. So it's like shit like that annoys me. But at the same time, if I had seen that picture a week after the movie came out, I would have no one to blame but myself. Like this happened like
exactly. Yeah.
hour one, like you know what I mean? Or like I think it was even during the previews, the movie wasn't even out yet. So and I'm just like, okay, fuck you.
I
Like, that shit annoys me.
I would say you need to shut the blackout curtains like
I know.
probably the day before.
I'm addicted to social media though, like, and I've no problem admitting that. Like, I live in that world. Like, I'm uploading shit to Instagram, to TikTok, like for gaming clips and all this sort of stuff. Like, so I kind of live on social media anyway. And then like Twitter, I'm always on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it's very hard to do it, and I can do it when it's something that I really truly care about.
Mhm.
Like episode 5 of Ahsoka, for example. Like, I know for me that's my day on Wednesday, sorry, that I know I can't go on social media at all. That day I'll be in work, I'll be working away, I'll stay off YouTube. I'll like because even like now, like even with YouTube, you see when you open up the homepage of YouTube, some people's thumbnails will like ruin shit for you,
Oh,
and
mine
obviously I
goes
know.
straight to my subscriptions. I don't see shit.
Yeah, when I hit youtube.com straight away, it'll pop up my home thing and it'll be all the people that I watch, Theory, Josh, all these people. And it'll like the thumbnails will ruin shit for me. And I know the thumbnail for this episode is Anakin, but again, I tell you, like the episode's been out for 4 days or something. So it's like, if you
Yeah,
haven't seen it by now, fuck you. So,
exactly.
but
And
like,
you've seen
if
Anakin before. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
exactly. But like if I put that thumbnail up an hour after the episode aired on the West Coast, a lot of people wouldn't have seen it. So I say, yes, fair enough. That's fine.
Mhm.
But there's time limits, I think.
See, see, for me, like I'm a lot different, dude. Like I'm not necessarily addicted to social media. I'm more addicted to video games. So a lot of the times I miss a lot of things because I just play video games. Um,
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
yeah,
that.
and it actually makes me feel like happy because I'm starting to work on my backlogs. Um, and I've been playing like a ton of like Into the Breach and whatnot, and like that game is so fucking addicting to me right now, dude. Like every time I wake up, I'm like, I'm gonna go to the shitter and play some fucking Into the
Are
Breach.
you gonna start streaming on Twitch again, or what's the story? Because I haven't seen you on Twitch in a long time.
I'm gonna get around to it. I just there's a lot of things that I still need to work out in
Mhm.
terms of my life. Like I need to get my
Yeah.
health back in check, and I've already gotten like the work situation going on. My financial situation is like much better now because I'm making a lot more than I used to. which I'm
Mhm.
really happy about. And um, like it really matters when like the things that you worry about get covered. You know what I mean? So like,
Oh yeah,
I,
100%, bro. That's my dream in life. Like I like obviously like everyone wants to be like rich and famous and all this shit. Like I don't really want to be famous, but I would love to be obviously rich. I think
yeah.
like life complete for me would be having to never have to check my bank account to see how much money's in my account again. If I could just not have to worry about that, if I could just, buy whatever I needed or wanted and, everything gets paid for all my bills, everything like that, my mortgages and whatever, and the family are taken care of, and I don't have to like physically check to see how much money's in my account. That to me is success. Like I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
you're done. Like, I think you're done like there.
So that's one of the things about what I'm excited about for my financial situation right now too, man. Like, and I know that I'm saying this like on the podcast, but like, and I'm not to brag. I really am not trying to brag, but I'm at the point where I literally have a second account and I'm not ever going to look at it, and it's just going to accrue 10% of what I make right now.
That's great, yeah. If you can
And
put 10% away and it doesn't affect your day-to-day living, that's amazing. That's where you want to be. Like that's great.
yeah,
Congratulations. That's amazing. Like,
I'm
yeah.
happy, dude.
I think, I'm working towards that too. And I have a lot invested in crypto and stuff in the next bull run. I think is going to be really,
I'm
really
I'm
profitable
excited
for
for
me.
you,
Like,
dude. Like I know you've
yeah,
been talking so much about like all the different
uh,
currencies that you've
I've
invested
been
in,
on
and
it
I
for
really hope that
years,
you
bro.
yeah.
I'm a crypto head for years now, and like I got in like kind of just before the end of the last bull run. So, but I did kind of get a lot of stuff cheap. But I knew that I would have to like a lot of the coins that I got. I knew that I was going to be sitting on them for 4 or 5 years waiting for the next bull run. So like
Yeah.
that's going to be coming around now in the next kind of year or two, 2024, 25 is where we're going to start seeing some big fucking returns. Like,
Mhm.
and like I'm genuinely believe that in a couple of years' time I could potentially be retiring from work. Like that's how much
That'd be
like we're going to
fantastic,
be
dude. I
set. Like, oh,
love
be so
that.
nice, dude. I
And
would
then you can
love
play
just
games
to
all day.
I would love to just like where I would love to be in life would be, I wake up in the morning, I bring my kids to school, I go to the gym, I come home, I stream for a few hours, and then I pick my kids up from school, spend the evening with them, and go to bed early at night, get 8 hours of sleep, like wake
Right.
up, do it again. Like that is the dream, bro. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's 10 past midnight for me right now as we're recording this live, like so I don't get to bed early ever, and when I'm gaming over on Twitch, I'm fucking up till 2 a.m. and then I'm back out the door at like 8:30 in the morning to go to work. Like, so, I'm definitely, I love doing what I do and I'll stream on Twitch and I'll play games and I'll do it as long as I love it. When I stop loving it, you won't see me anymore. I'll just disappear. Like,
Of course.
I love doing this podcast, like and that's like, we don't make any money doing this, like we don't even
No,
have
we're just
200,
having fun.
we don't even have 200 subscribers on this YouTube channel. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we're literally just doing this for the love of doing it. So like I don't see any monetary fucking benefit from doing this whatsoever. So again, when this just doesn't become fun anymore, you probably won't see it happen. Maybe we record something offline and it just goes up on the podcast apps. I don't know, but it is what it is. Like I enjoy doing what I do, and
Yeah. Same here.
when it's not fun anymore, I won't do it. That's the way I look at it. Like
Yep. I agree.
yeah. Anyway, pretty of a grim end to the podcast for this
The
week,
grim
but
man. No, that's
well,
a
no,
happy end, dude. Like
no,
it's
it is true, true. Guys, next week on the cast, we're going to be talking about the fucking what could be potentially the greatest episode of Star Wars TV ever. Disney believe in this so much that they're putting it in theaters. If it's close to you, please go and see it in the theater and just tell me about it. I want to know what it's like. I don't know, Alex, if you've looked into it, if it's anywhere close to you. It's nowhere. It's not even in my country, so I can't even go and see it. But if I could, I would. I would love to see episode 5 of this on the big screen. I have really big hopes for what's going to happen in this episode. This this stream next week, I think we're going to be talking about it for a good while. I'm going to be full blown fan mode, giddy, emotional, everything. Anakin Skywalker is my hero. You know what I mean? Like it's honestly like if I had a son, I had a daughter recently. If I had a son, I was probably going to call him Hayden. Like no joke. Like that was going to be my son's name if I had a kid, if I had a boy. But I had a girl, so it is what it is. But no, seriously, like that's how much I love Anakin Skywalker and Hayden Christensen. So like honestly, I was about to name my son Hayden. So it's going to be a big one next week. I don't know. We'll talk about any other nerdy news from the week. Any keep your ear to the ground if you're in the chat. bring up any rumors or anything you want us to talk about next week as well. Massive thank you to anybody who's listening to this on Spotify or Apple or anything like that. If you want to potentially be part of the conversation, come over to the YouTube channel and you can talk with us live. We're live here at 5 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.